Should you play Lotro in 2023? Well, the answer is no, you should not just be playing Lotro in 2023. Let's get that straight. Now, there are some issues with Lotro that are just so hard not to overlook. For example, the graphics are, really outdated. They have the same repetitive quests and festivals that just kind of get boring once you've played it and made a character, like, I don't know, someone like me who's made like 45 characters. Sometimes it's just repetitive and boring, but you should not play Lotro in 2023. Instead, what you should do is immerse yourself in Lotro. Here are 3 reasons why you should be immersing yourself in the Lotro world in 2023 and getting back into the game. Number 1, Rings of Power. It's done. For now. I mean, quite frankly, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like we're going to get a season 2 in 2024. So we've got plenty of time to kind of replenish on our knowledge, learn more about Lotro, and what better way to do that than to actually play the game. For me, I typically play the game because I don't want to read the books. I'm not a big reader. They're really long, and I feel like some of the details I just quickly overlook. And with the movies, sometimes it's kind of the same thing. It's so condensed and there's so much in it that you don't want to overlook it, so then it's a little overwhelming. And then in the game, it's a great mixture of just getting enough interaction that you're not zoning out while reading the books or learning more about the quests. You're actually getting more interactive within the gameplay. So it's really easy to brush up on your knowledge that way in comparison to watching the really long movies or reading the books, in my opinion. It's really important now to kind of brush up on it before Rings of Power Season 2 comes out, because then you'll kind of be more ahead of the game. Like, I was so not prepared for Season 1 of Rings of Power. Like, I was really lost on some things because I really forgotten a lot of my basic knowledge of Lord of the Rings as a whole trilogy. Some of the games can kind of help you with that, but it really will get you more active and actually make it more of a priority. But even with all of that said, I really do think that there are going to be major upcoming updates with Lotro, and I'm hearing a lot through the grapevine that I really am excited to check out. Speaking of expansions, have you guys played Before the Shadow yet? Because that was the new expansion that came out and I've heard really great things about it. I've kind of explored a little bit of the new areas that have come out with it, but I'm really excited to try it when I can. Reason number 2 to immerse yourself in Lotro for 2023. Simply put, the community just keeps growing. It's insane because when Rings of Power came out, I did not realize how many of us there were in the world who really love Lotro. And the thing with Lotro, and I think anyone can agree with me, is that it's this game where a lot of people have played for almost as long as the game's been around, and everyone's really liked it to an extent that they always go back to it. I've never heard of someone who hasn't at some point thought, let me re-download Lord of the Rings Online. I've been thinking about the game lately and I just kind of want to play it. Like, it's one of those games that you just can't always help but go back to. Even speaking from my own personal experience, I've played the game for at least 12 years now. I've taken so many year breaks in between. I'm not even gonna lie, probably like 3 breaks, and they were like 2 years each. I'm not gonna lie. But every time I come back, I always play it for like a good year, maybe 2, maybe off and on a couple months, and I'm always so into it, and I don't know what it is. Lotro always has like that grasp that you always want to go back to it, and you just completely deep dive into it, and then you can't help but rave about it again. But I'll get more into that in the next point. But getting more into the community aspect of it, while the community is always growing and there's so many of us who are maybe taking pauses or breaks from the game, I will say that there are really exciting things that happen when expansions come out. For example, in Before the Shadow, I heard a lot about the expansion, but I heard a lot more about something very interesting that happened when the expansion went live. What happened was the game devs actually added in a signpost in between the road to Trestle Bridge and Breland. What happened is the signpost, when the expansion came out, for whatever reason it glitched and it became like this really huge boulder. And this boulder was blocking everyone's horse who was trying to get to North Downs from Bree. And it became a really long going joke. And quite frankly, it just became a really big community like mascot in a way. And we all named him like Dwayne from like, you know, The Rock and stuff. And it was actually really funny because that actually took over a lot of publicity. It was in all the forums, all the group chats, even in the world chat in game. Like, it was insane. Like, everybody knew about The Rock and everyone knew the name. Like, it just became this thing within the community that, like, if you knew, you knew. But sadly, of course, the devs had to take him away because it was affecting some people's gameplay. And, you know, he was a signpost. He was supposed to be a signpost the whole time. This big rock, this big boulder was supposed to be a signpost. So it's kind of like his little gravestone. It's just kind of weird and morbid when you think about it. But that was a really interesting, neat thing that kind of reassured Lotro and the community within Lotro that it's a really awesome place to be. And it's really awesome to be a part of, because something like a glitch like that some players in other games would probably be like really ticked about, but it became almost like this ongoing joke, and like everyone started having like feasts around the rock, and people were like praising the rock and dancing on the rock, and you had to get up on the rock, and it was kind of like a big gathering where it kind of brought everyone together. The way that it was handled by the devs makes it even better, because once they patched it like 2 weeks later, they actually wrote a little secret in the patch notes. There's something in the future that they're gonna do to commemorate Amon Dwayne, which I think is almost like really cool, because it's like, oh my gosh, now it's like the devs are in on it, and like, you know, they made a mistake and goofed up a bit, but they're like, you know what, like the community loves it, so let's run with it. And I think that kind of goes more into the reasons why you should really deep dive into Lotro, because not only is the game great, but the community itself is just amazing, and I'm truly thankful to be a part of it. And last but not least, the third reason why you should immerse yourself into Lotro in 2023 is simply because the game is always expanding, there's so much exploration, and you're never going to not have something to do. So just a little bit about me real quick, sorry. When I started streaming, I actually was playing a lot of Lord of the Rings Online and also Star Wars The Old Republic, because I am a low-key really big Star Wars nerd. But the thing with SWTOR that kind of is upsetting is that you really don't have much exploration. Unlike Lotro, you can kind of go off of the beaten path, you can go anywhere that you want, and quite frankly, there might be deeds where when you go into the unknown, there's so many areas that you can explore, no matter what level you are. Even with the latest expansion Before the Shadow, they're actually taking more time into like some of the starter areas to add more content into them. So not only is like there Bree, Irluin, Thorin's Hall, all of that stuff now it's like, oh wait, you can go to Swan Fleet, and oh yeah, by the way, we're also adding in these other areas into Bree, like Trader's Wharf. There's just so many areas that are constantly being updated, whether they are new and they are really high levels, and getting more new content with the higher levels is important, but they're also taking time to add in more to the older stuff, so that way anyone who does return will have newer things to look forward to, even when they make a new character and they're lower levels. I think that's really unique that they're kind of taking time to go back and add more, and it can be a little overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. Someone like me, like I always stick to the same recipe when I'm doing my quests. Like I go to one location here and then I go to that one, and I can't break my routine. But I think it is nice to at least give options, and it won't make you kind of like resent going back and making a new character. It actually gives you a lot more to explore as you continue to level. Going more into the exploration, I think a really neat thing about it too is that the art design of the game is just amazing. Like some of these landscapes are just so unbelievably beautiful that it's almost like a reward going off and like maybe getting stranded, and you know, especially in the troll trials, like there's just so much within the beautiful forest. I think that's a really great thing with the game, that you do have a lot of exploration, you do have a lot of areas that you can go, and sometimes that's a little risky, because I definitely haven't accidentally been in the Misties and then went to the Vales and ended up in a level 100 area, but it happens. Honestly, I think that's important to mention with anyone who's new going into the game, is simply that there's some content that some people like me haven't even discovered, and we've been playing the game for years. I honestly do believe that the way with the exploration and such, that's kind of why Lotro players will take breaks, and it's simply because when they take breaks, not only do they know when they come back there's going to be new expansions, but there's also going to be so many new areas to explore and discover, and there's going to be so many different types of quests and different new exciting ways to get more into the game. Now, I know that I only listed 3 points as to why you should immerse yourself in the Lotro world in 2023. However, I know that there are so many I missed within the video, so please comment down below what you think I should have included for our newer players or players who are thinking about returning, because I think we should get as many people into the community as possible. While you're scrolling down though, I do have a playlist in the description. Kind of acts like a guide for all things Lotro. It has so many things within it and I'm constantly updating it as the year goes on. There are videos such as a breakdown of classes that I recommend you watch right now, right after this video, that can kind of help you decide on which class you want to play next in Lotro. But anyway, thanks for watching, weirdos, and as always, stay weird, and I'll see you in Lotro.